Yeah, sorry, I had to break this video so that at least you have some breather and I don't bore you with so much story. So, that was my second resignation. Then the third one, I was fired. So I went to India in 2017. I came back in the same 2017 around September. I tried looking for a job. I tried restructuring my life. So much happened between that time. And so in 2019, my former employer called me back. I remember I was driving in Nairobi. It was in January. We were just getting into Nairobi after the December holidays. So my boss calls me, my former boss calls me, and he's like, "How have you been? Where are you? Nini nini. We need some consultancy services, and if you can offer, please, when you get time, look for me." And I was like, whew, something has popped up. Getting a job in Kenya is not easy. I applied for jobs. Until now, in 2019, actually, when he was calling me, I started my business. I don't know why this is flickering. So I was already doing some sort of businesses, but not stable, of course. And plus, this was a consultancy. I could manage in my businesses. So I walk into his office on Monday morning. We talk about what he wanted from me, and we agree. It was supposed to be a 3 months contract, renewable. So, yeah, I got back and started doing what I was supposed to do. With the passion that I had for media, I worked in January, February, March. Now, March, my contract was ending. It actually ended, but I wasn't told if it was to be renewed or not. This is what happened. I was expected to continue working, doing everything, including and excluding what was in my TOR. So I was working. I worked through after March. I worked some few days, and nothing was coming forth. I went and asked about what was to happen to my contract. I asked if it was going to be renewed or I was out. Like, I didn't know. I was working, yes, but I was not going to be paid. My contract has ended, so legally I am not supposed to be working here. I'm not employed by you guys. So I continued to ask, but no one was really giving me a valid answer. But I've learned before, I've worked before, and I know how these things work, especially when you do not have a contract, when you're working without any guidelines. And I knew who I was dealing with, so I was like, this is 2019. And it is what it is. If it's working, it's working. If it's not working, it's not working. So I went ahead and asked, and nothing was forthcoming. So I decided, okay, let me give some time. So the reason I was fired, there was this one time, as a consultant, I was not supposed to. Oh, sorry, someone is calling me. As a consultant, the agreement there were terms. I think I was not supposed to work on a weekend. I was not supposed to do news or programs. There was something about the contract. But I remember there's this one time my coworker took a 1 week leave. This guy was employed here. He used to work from as early as 6:30, doing the newspaper reviews and throughout the day, and so he actually was doing so much for the company. So when he took a leave, I was supposed to fill in, fit in his space. So that meant I was coming very early in the morning so that by 6:30 I'm in the studio, and then leaving late, just ensuring that everything was running nicely, because he was also the head of the news department at that time. So I worked through the very week. And when he came back on Monday, I worked from Monday to, was it even 2 weeks? Like, it was so exhausting. So when he came, I took a day off. I knew the environment I was working in. And most of the time, if you didn't take a leave for yourself, you will break down in the office and nobody cared. So I took a day off. That was on Monday. So I didn't show up on Monday because I'd worked from Monday up to Sunday. So I didn't show up on Monday. So we normally had our meetings, morning meetings on Mondays and Fridays. So I had Simfros never came to work, ABCD, nini. Remember, I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm not even working here. Legally, I was not working there. And for me to have worked from Monday to Sunday in media houses, the working hours are so ungodly. So I took my leave because I knew also nobody was going to give me the leave. On Friday during the meeting, now the then admin started talking about, people are absconding duty, people don't follow rules, whatever. And remember, I already had a build-up, already was tired. I knew I was working and my terms had not been reviewed. I knew I was working without a contract. I knew I was just here and somebody would just throw me out like they wanted, because I was working under no rules at all. And there were also so many things that were not just working right in that organization. And when she started talking about that, I thought, this is so unfair. And plus, if I was the case, I thought there was professional ways to deal with absenteeism, if they felt that is what it was called. I thought through my contract, they would know, because also I remember my contract, according to my contract, I was supposed to work 4 or 3 times a week. So I also thought even by me not coming on a Monday, it could have been deducted from my off days. So I think the way that was handled during a meeting for everyone, there were 2 companies or 3 under one. So during that one big meeting, that was brought up. And I felt so bad, being that you guys have not even talked about my contract. You are not even in a position to explain who I am to the company today. And when this thing happens, now it is about absconding duties and ABCD. And when I was waking up at 6:30 and leaving late in the night, it was not an issue for you guys. So I let her talk, and this happened. It wasn't a beautiful scene. It wasn't one of the best ways to address something. But as a human being, I think I just went beyond what I was supposed to do. That I accept, by the way. I think I got really angered. I had so much built up at the back of my head. So when she talked that way, I decided to stand up and stand for myself in that whole meeting. Unfortunately, when I started talking, the general manager was also in the meeting. So she took it up. So it wasn't me against the admin, it was me against us against each other, against the human resource. So I talked about me working without a contract. I talked about how there were no rules in that place. And then I remembered NHIF and NSF had not been paid for people who had been there for a very long time. There were so many labor laws that were not being followed at that point. So I decided to just voice it out. And I think I reached a point where I was like, even if I go, because I knew I was going, because kuna level unafika unajua, una left. So I knew I was going. Yes, I knew I was going. So I was like, if I leave, let it be better for people who I leave behind. So yes, I took the chance to talk about the labor laws that were not being followed, about the whatever that were not being submitted, and how young families were suffering because somebody had just decided that, you know what, we are not paying for your insurance. You know what, we will pay you today, tomorrow we are not going to pay you. So I talked. And I just had Simfros, get out. Pick your stuff and get out. Yes. Nilijua imeisha. It was not easy, by the way. But I thought, what else do you do? I packed, as news anchors and presenters, you normally have a wardrobe in the office, like extra shoes, extra clothes, just in case you have to go on air more than once for a different reason. So I went into the closet, took my clothes, took my shoes, took my laptop, and I was like, yeah. So that was the very first time I ever resigned. It was not easy. It took me so much time. I actually came back and apologized to the GM for having talked to her or confronted her in front of everyone else, because I thought that was not the best way I could have handled it. But so that was, I was wrong on that side. But I came and say, I'm sorry it came out that way, but I think uh, I had so much issues piled up. So I left. So that was my first. I was fired. That was my first time I was fired. So my third resignation. Remember, I've resigned thrice, and I have been fired once. My third resignation happened last year. This year. This year in January. You guys, I only worked for 2.5 months. So this one is very short, and after all these struggles and applying for jobs and the way it's tough to get a job and the pandemic and the what, I had a business running. I've been doing small business, but last year, just when the pandemic was starting around August, I set up a shop, a uniforms shop and branding. I do branding, uniform accessories. Sorry, I do so much. So I set up a shop somewhere. So I had been managing that shop, but then again, I was called in October. There's a friend of mine, through a friend, who called me and told me, you know what, there's an opportunity here for you, and I think actually I talked to this lady earlier, and that opportunity was there when I didn't have a job. Somebody told me she was looking for someone, so we talked, and because of the pandemic, everything went back to into confusion, and also for her, she also halted everything. So around October, things were easing up, and she was considering taking me into her company. So when she called and told me, remember what we talked about? Now the chance is here, and if you don't mind, you can come over, we talk. So business is here. It's still a young baby. Oh, and business is not easy. So I was like, what am I supposed to do? Something else? I have bills to be paid. I had my younger brother who did not have a job. So one thing was, do I let my brother manage the shop and I go work so I can be able to pay him something to sustain himself, and I pay a few things that I pay in the house, so that at the end of the day, it's like two other sources of income, and times are tough. Right now, you can't say no to a job. I tried consulting a few people. I don't consult widely, because people will be like, hey, everybody's looking for a job. You don't want a job, it doesn't matter. Just go, this is a sure bet. No. So I decided, let me meet the lady so I understand the terms before I commit, because terms also was a big issue. Like I said before, if there's one lesson that I've learned, one huge lesson that you need to learn is, no terms, don't start the job. Get the terms, get them clearly, because at the end of the day, that is the only thing that will save you when you have to leave a job, or when you need something to be clear. So I went, talked to this lady, and we agreed on the terms. The terms were not so good according to me, so I voiced the same. And also for her, she was like, start 1st of November. So after talking to my husband and a few people around, my sisters, they were like, yeah, times are tough, and it's a 50-50 kind of situation, but just go for it. So I go for it. The terms were, the first 3 months I'm on probation, then after that I'm confirmed. So I had also, the reason also I went was like, I had 3 months to be able to know if it was going to, I was going to be able to make it or not. So I worked in November, the whole of November. I worked in the whole of December. I resigned in January. I feel that is the shortest time I've been employed. No, she was a good employer. The job also was on communication, so I enjoy anything and everything to do with communication. So I worked in November, it was okay. In December, there were little hiccups, especially in the business. My business, I do not have all the stock together. So sometimes I do business on order. Somebody does an order, then I have to run to town, or my brother runs to town, and we do it, and so, and delivery. So at this point, the only person who was there to do the business was my brother. So sometimes he had to say no to business, because now there was not that flexibility. Another thing, my job was not any flexible. I was supposed to work from Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. So I realized that was so tough on me, and it was my fault that I had taken something that I could not manage. So when I went home and came back to Nairobi after December holidays, I was like, is this thing really working for me? I already knew it was not working. And another thing was, there was so much pressure. Apart from the bank, which was also field work, I've just been in media houses. And media houses are a bit flexible, a bit easy, as in, I'm a nice maker. Okay, I talk a lot. Just tell you, I'm talking a lot. And in media house, you're always shouting. When you want to talk to somebody across you just call the name. You don't use, those office phones, and you do not do emails most of the time. We just talk verbally. And most of the time, media people are in group talking, discussing breaking news. What are we doing next? Programs. And I think that is the kind of environment that I really enjoy working in. Then I was here 8 to 5. And we were only 3 employees plus the CEO. And people were so quiet in that office and disciplined. If you want to talk to somebody across, you make a phone call. Or you walk there and talk to them. And here I was, used to shouting in a media house. So apart from the fact that, okay, it was the reason I left was because the business was not doing so well. And I just could not afford to lose the business that I'd really worked so hard for. So I was like, let me go and take care of what I know best. But now this other office, it was so hard for me to survive in this environment. The CEO is there, and the quietness, oh my God. It's in some leafy suburb. People are quiet. People are well-mannered. It was actually, I was getting sick because of being quiet from 8 to 5 and only getting up when I need to go to the washrooms. And another thing, the washroom was outside, so at least that is the only time I could go out. But any time we'd wake up to go, people. Okay, that environment is not easy for me. People who work 8 to 5, salute. Hiyo kitu ilinishinda. So that was my third resignation. Do I regret any of them? No. I don't regret resigning to take my mom to the hospital. I don't regret leaving the bank because that thing was not working for me and my baby was hurting. I don't regret leaving my other job when I came back, because if there are no rules, please, it's so hard to work when you do not have terms. That was tough. And then finally, when I left my business, I don't regret it. Yes, I know that when you are sure of a salary at the end of the month, it really served me. The 2 months that I earned salary, because I resigned in January before that salary, because also my probation was ending at the end of January, and I had to work for like 2 weeks extra if I had to resign when I had already been confirmed. So I resigned earlier. So I also do not regret, because young business, a small business, needs the owner. Like, hands on, you got to be there. You have to be there. The returns are not today. The returns are not beautiful now, but it needs you to be there. So I said, let me go back, build that business of mine. When it is at a point where it can be able to take care of itself, and that baby grows up and can be able to take care of itself, then I can be able to leave it under someone's care and do something else. I mean, if there's something else we can be able to do. But what do I miss? Being on the screens. Oh, I love being on the screen. I love it. But that's just about it. Because also it's flooded and the salary is not as lucrative as it used to be. So I'm here on the screen. So this is my screen. This is where I am. Thank you for watching such a long story. I hope I did not bore you guys, but the lessons are still nice, so fresh. When you have decided, I think when you want to resign, don't consult everybody. Some people will literally tear you apart for that. But be convinced yourself. Have your own reason. And when you are just resigned fresh, the outside world is so tough. Waking up to go nowhere is so tough. You'll blame yourself for a very long time. But please get up so fast, dust yourself, do whatever it is that you can do until you get the next job. Number two, the salary is good. The employment environment is good. But one thing I've realized is outside here, there's so much growth, there's so much you can do with yourself. And if you're passionate about something, go for it. It works. It won't work the first 2, 3, 4, then it could even take a year or 2 or 3. But at the end of it all, when you're convinced that you need to go out, please go out. Because I remember in all my resignations, except the firing one, in all my resignations, I had made up my mind. Not because it was easy, but because that was the choice I was taking for myself. Because I had made another step that I just needed to go and fulfill, or So I think first thing is personal conviction. When ukijua, when you know this is what you want to do, you will seek advices and try to weigh if there's something you missed. But at the end of the day, if it is you, about you, you'll be able to do it. But when you do it because somebody told you, it becomes so tough. And when it becomes so tough, you really want to go back. And when you go back, maybe you're not going back for the right reason. So when you want to really resign, weigh the pros and cons. So far, I don't regret. Some of them were not easy. Some of them were personal, were things that I had a choice but decided to take the resignation choice. Somebody will ask, would I be employed right now? I don't know how lucrative it might be, but for now, at least for the next 1 full year, I am not interested in taking a full-time job. I can do consultancy, I can do part-time, but I'm not interested in taking a full-time job because then again, I have so much hope for my business to grow. I have so much passion to grow it myself. So for now, unless otherwise, because you can never say never, but for now I'm not really interested in getting a full 8 to 5 job running from 1st to 31st or 30th. Thank you guys for watching. This part 2 of this video. Give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't, and thank you for watching. Love you.